Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to be reassembling this 1888 vintage Waltham pocket watch. It's a really nice piece. Winter is a-comin'. Winter is a-comin'. So I'll be able to spend more time at the bench, I think. Even though on the weekends, only on the weekends now. So I'll be busy during the weeks. Very busy during the weeks. I got to clean off my very nice glasses here before we start this exercise. This watch was cleaned, and what we're going to do here is we're going to reassemble this watch. And not really sure about the power left in the mainspring, but we're going to try it out because it's really easy to replace that mainspring again. And then you just take the top plate off, and then away it goes. So we've got that. We've got just move some of this stuff out of the way. Got my Myers number 58 movement holder, a gem. I did do some cleaning of the face in the previous video. There is the dust ring here for the movement. I'm going to be very careful here. I'm going to reassemble the whole thing. Then I'm going to take the balance apart and clean that. I may use my dunker tank, or I may just clean it the way it is. So we shall see, but I'm going to be very careful here because there's lots of nice components that I don't want to ruin. You see this mainspring here is a little bit set. I'm not sure how bad that is, right? It's hard to say. I don't want to stretch it out, though. I'll just reinstall it and then see if it's got enough power reserve left in it. And if it doesn't, it's not a difficult problem to resolve. There's the hands, the wheels, all the wonderful parts of the watch. So let's get started. So I actually have my disassembly video playing on the other computer screen because I didn't take any photos of this coming apart. So, but I know that I want to get this minute wheel in there first, right? So get that in place first so it's out of the way, and then I'll have a look at what goes next. That's what I'm going to do. All right, as I look at this interesting puzzle here, I think the first thing I need to do is put this wheel back in, and it's kind of critical which way you put it in. I believe I know it goes this way, because you can see the gears and the wear on the wheel here, so you want to make sure it goes the right way. So I can put it in this way here. I might want to tap a little tiny bit of oil down here just to make sure that it's going to turn smoothly, although this is used for winding, so it shouldn't be a big problem. So it's just a question whether I want to put anything on the plate here, because the copper plate works well with the wheel. I think I'll just leave it like this, no problem. Like that. And then this click spring is interesting. I've got to look at how that went back in, because I know there's the click side and then there's the arm side. So I think it probably goes in like this, but again, I'm going to have a quick little look at this, because there's a spring right here that has to go up, and this tucks underneath it, so that kind of would make sense. So let's have a look. So that's exactly how this goes. So this lifts up, and then you very carefully put the spring. You just push that spring up really carefully. So I probably use just a piece of paper, and then as you push that up, you tuck the click spring in. So it's just going to put this in place here nice and carefully. See if this works. This is surgery, man. Surgery. Like that. Now this has to be on the other side of the spring, so I need to somehow move this up and then move that spring over. That's possible. Just grab that with the this here and then put it down like this. Is that going to work? I think so. There we go. Now the click spring, lean that against the watch there. That's in place now. And before I put that in, I need to put a little bit of oil on that spring here. So I got my very nice Bergeron oiling jobby doohickeys, my favorite term, and I will put a little bit of thicker oil on that, so just to make sure it's moving a bit. So Just right in there. And then I also want to put some oil right in here. And just put a few dabs of oil around the gears here. A little dab will do ya. That way, that'll transfer that oil from the clicks, the gears, the teeth of the gear to the click spring, which should be okay. And again, this is and brass on steel is not too bad. You're not going to have too bad of a problem there. So, and a little tiny bit of oil where the spring rides on that click spring. Over oiling is also a problem and can be worse than under oiling if you don't do it properly. And see, I got you zoomed in here, so which is fine, I guess. I'm not sure whether you want me to pull out or zoom in. So should maybe have two cameras going, one on the side and the other one, right? That would give you a better view of things. So here we go. This is my golf voice, by the way. I was told by somebody that, watchmaking can make you go to sleep. A little bit of oil on the top of the minute wheel post here. And some right on here on this outward here, and then a little bit on the winding mechanism right there. And that should do the trick. And you always clean your oilers. You take these oilers, you stab them into the piece of pithwood, and that cleans the oilers nicely. So that's that, and then this piece here goes right over the top, like so, and it also screws into the holds the spring down. Make sure it's lined up properly. That, and then this goes in like this. And you just put the screw next to it like that, and then nudge it into the hole. Nudge. It's the nudging into the hole. And then I got to remove my cup of coffee that was on top of the screwdrivers, and then grab a screwdriver very carefully. This one here is a bigger screw as well. So I'm trying to get a screw that the tip fits into the slice here, and then get really close here as I screw this in. It's wanting to find its way away from the hole. Which is never good. So I tighten that up. So I don't want that to move, but I'll just check and make sure that the gear is moving, and it is, so that's good. And that will click when it turns around. So that's that part right there. Now I want to oil the there's a little gear that's rounded. It fits over this post right here. Let's get close. I need to get closer here to make sure I'm oiling this post properly. There we go. And there's a little spring here, and I'm going to oil the top of that spring. Just like that. And that's that. And then there's a couple of gears here that need to be put in place, but I got to move them over from in my little blue bin here. And a real-time recording. I think if I didn't make these videos, I could probably reassemble the watch a little faster and without having to chat away, chatty McChatty pants. But this watch had an interesting issue where it just got the mechanism here got kind of stuck, and it wouldn't go back in place. So this little gear here is the round one that has to go over this post here. So this goes like this, and then there's a the other gearing mechanism fits over the top of this, so it's very hard to put this in place without the rest of it. But that's this here, this gear here, this here, this here, and then this screw here that holds it all in place. So we're going to reassemble this thing and put that in place, and that goes basically over the top like that. But I'm going to have a look at it again, make sure I'm not screwing this up. Alright, here's how this thing works. So this gear here fits in to this position here. So I think I got to flip it the other way though. So yeah, so it fits into this position here like that. And this is the gear that drives, is being driven when you wind the watch, right? Drives this gear here, which is on the back end of the mainspring. So it's like that. And then this fits on top like that. But before you do that, you have to make sure that these gears are in place, right? So this gear and this gear. So I got to fit these gears back together again and make sure that they're in place. So this one here fits over here like this, I believe. And then this gear here has got a little tiny hole in it, and so that fits over the top right here like that, right over the top of that little knobby there. And it should just fall into place with any luck. And without luck, it ain't gonna fall into place. So I gotta make sure I play with it so it's, there we go. So now that tucked in there, I think I have that right. We'll see. It may go in first, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look at this and see how that fits in there, and I think it's got to go in. Yeah, it may go in the other way and go in first. So I'm going to have a look at that, be right back. Alright, now that I've looked at it again, I know that this would go on first, like so. And then I've got to have this other gear kind of tucked in here. So this is very tricky stuff. Putting these mechanisms back together, I think, is the hardest part of reassembling a watch. So I think that this goes in there, but there's a spring on the other side that I need to tuck in, and there's also a spring right there that I need to deal with. So, and then this would go, this round piece here slides underneath right there, so that's going underneath that, like so, like that, and this goes on top of that like this. Is that right? Yeah, this goes on top of that like this. Just lay that down nice and easy, and then this goes on top of this like this. So I'm just going to fart with this to get this in place, because I know I got to go underneath the watch here and turn it around at some point in time so I can get that spring in, which is not easy. So I don't want to, I'll just play with this for a second and see if I can. This might take 20 minutes to get reassembled, I'm not sure. So what I did is just put this in here with my finger, and then I just put the screw in very lightly, because I don't think this is all lined up properly. And then I need to flip this around and go to the other side and actually make sure that spring is on the correct side of this part here. So I think this part here needs to be over here somewhere, because I remember this being over here. So I'll have a look at that on the other side to make sure I've got this in place, right? Because it's got to go into the hole for that, and then on the other side. So a lot of playing here going on. There we go. So that's there. That's not there. This spring here has to be on this side, like that. There we go. So that's on that side of that, which engages that jewel there, or that lever there. Just make sure that's still on there. Yeah, and I'll show it to you in a second when I get the darn thing in. Now this, I can tighten this just a bit again. But again, I'm not sure if this is straight over the hole. I'm going to have a look. I think it is, actually. Not sure if this is all good or not. So you just loosen it up again. You never want to tighten it if you're not sure, right? Keep it loose until you're absolutely certain that everything is kosher. I'm trying to remember where the hole was for that. It seems to be falling into place right there, but falling into place doesn't necessarily mean it's working. So I'm going to look at it from the other side. And I'm going to play with it until it works. Alright, so I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of farting around that goes on in doing this. So this, when you pull this lever forward, there's a spring here, right? And that spring just pushes this lever in. But you do this, and this here little pawl here connects. So when you want to wind it, this is for time setting, so you want to wind it, this is released. You wind it and these gears attach, right? And then you set it, and this is like this. And then on this side here, you can see there's a spring right here. And this spring actually pushes this little pawl here, I'll call it. The pawl that goes back when I push this in place, as you can see. So that just pushes it right back. So I'm going to put a little oil in these areas too, just to reduce a little bit of the friction and to optimize it somehow. So let's just put a little bit of oil in here, and we're going to get close and dirty to do this, and just have to drop a little bit right there. That'll find its way in there. And then other side, again, I want the oil to be right here. That, because that's going to press against this arm here. And then this goes up and down, but I've already oiled the peg there. But I think I'll put a little bit on the top of this ear as it slides back and forth. Like that, just to give it a little less friction as it going back and forth like that. So that's good there. So that should do. And I've tightened the screw here on the top. You don't want to over tighten any screw on a watch. You just tighten it nice and snug. And so now when you do that, it moves into place. This spring that's right inside of here, right, pushes that ball up. And it's making contact with the gears at that point in time. So there we go. So that is back together. So that was a job and a half. There's two jobs there, I guess, the job and a half. So that's the winding mechanism. I'm leaving I took the minute hand fell out, so I left that out for now. I don't need to put that in place. So that's, the setting mechanism is in place now, and that's working, which is good. Good. Now I believe I can start populating the gear train. So this is what I want to do next, is populate the gear train. So let's put it in the Myers movement holder and continue from there. So I've got this sitting on the Myers movement holder here, and I just want to move this back a bit, like that, and then tuck it in. I'm trying to make sure this arm here is nowhere near the movement holder so it doesn't foul the arm at all. So I'm trying to get it on that, keep it on that side of the movement holder so I don't have any issues. And just tighten that up just a bit. And now I've got to look at the gear train and make sure the gear train goes in the right way. So there's my oiler here that I've been using, and that's all she wrote. So be very careful. I'm going to have a look at the gear train again and make sure I got the gears in the right place, but I know I got to put the center wheel in. I'm not sure which one is on top of which one as this goes around. This is a full plate movement, and these are a pain in the butt. That's all I got to say, because they're very difficult to work on, because when you put the plate back on here, if the gears are just slightly off, it just doesn't work. So it will go on like this once the gears are in place, but it's nasty to put these in and tap them in. Sometimes it takes 5 seconds, sometimes it takes a half an hour. So that's what's really nasty about these full plate movements. Plus putting the pallet fork back in, because it's not a conventional pallet fork. I usually use Rodico to hold it on the upper side, and then I Rodico it into where it needs to be here and hold that on the upper side, between the banking pins, and then I'm able to take that and then flip it around and it finds its hole. So I also have to remove the jewel here and have a look at that too. So let's I'm going to take a look at the photo of how the gears laid in. So from my very fuzzy photo I took, which kind of sucks, I could look at the video, which might be a better option, but I'll just lay them in now. So it looks as though, and these are all clean now, that this center wheel goes in first, like so, and then the intermediate wheel goes in, which would be this one here, and that's going in with the pinion up as well. So that would be, let's see, that would be right here, but that doesn't go in until the minute wheel goes in. So this wheel needs to go in first. Very careful here, mister. And you really want to watch the pipe on the minute wheel, because that's where you don't want to have any problems with that, because that can cause all kinds of hell. So you want that to go in there, like so. I think I got to get a little closer here. And then the other wheel goes in. Let's see. Try this a little closer. Was this being foolish and being too far away? Like that, and then this gear goes on in like this. I think that's how they go. No, they're not meshing properly, and I'm off, so I think I screwed it up. Let me have another look. Alright. I think this is the wrong way here. So I think this goes in like this. Probably makes more sense here. Anyway. I think vintage means hard. Must be French for hard. I think I'll turn the video off and play with this instead of doing it in public. So that is exactly the way I had it, except I just had to get closer to tap that into place. And now I have to, the escapement would go in next, which would be, and I think it's probably thinking pinion up or pinion down. It's got to be pinion up, or pinion down rather, for the escapement. So I think that's in like this, like that. There we go. And then the pallet fork. And I know that the pallet fork, to put the pallet fork in, it's forking hard. So that pallet fork tucks in underneath the underneath this here. So I'm going to turn this around and make sure that pallet fork is in the right way. So so it goes in like this, I believe, on the inside of this, like that, and then you turn that whole thing around, and bam, it's in place. But I gotta look at the jewel on the top of this plate too first. So put that aside, and alrighty then. So this is a technique I've been using for a little while. So I'll take a bit of Rodico off this. Right off that, like this, maybe a little more. It's the only way to get that pallet fork to stay in place while you're putting the top plate on is to actually just shove the pallet fork inside of where we are here. So this is, and I've got to put it in the right direction, which means this way, right? And so the pallet fork would go into, would enter right in there, like that, and then sit on the then the pivot for that pallet fork would be going into the jewel. So you have to be very careful. You don't want to pressure anything here. Sort of like this. Is that in there? No. There we go. Okay, that is in there. That's on both sides of the banking pins here. So it's all good. And while I have the pallet fork out, I'm going to put a little bit of this oil on the jewels for the pallet fork, very carefully. And you're using just the smallest amount. And that just reduces friction between the pallet fork and the escapement. So I came back today from the cottage to do this watch, to finish this watch. So, Niccolo, this is your baby, man. Alright, so that's that. And I have my oilers here, right here, like this. And I just jam my little oiling, the end of the oiler into that. So now I've got it like this. And then I need to take this, let me put the cap back on so I don't get any dust in the oil. This is Mobius 9415. Mobius 9415. Great oil. Now what I need to do is, without interfering with anything, I got to put this little strip over the top of all this stuff. So this is tough. So this just will hold down. May just want to do it on this side so I don't interfere with anything. This will hold down the pallet fork in place. I'm just going to slide it in here. I didn't want it to move using the Rodico, but it did. And whenever you do something like this and something doesn't work, you start again. That's my advice. There we go. A little bit better. Just move that pivot over. Yeah, everything moves out of place, eh? So just need to hold that and put it back into that pivot nice and carefully. There we go. There. Now that should hold. That should hold that in place. So when I flip it over now and put it on top of the plate here, then it's going to be in the right place, and the pivot on the end here will fit into here. So this is going to be fun, as they say. Now just before it cut out, you see how this holds that in place there, the Rodico? And once I have that on top there, I strip the Rodico out. Just checking my camera to make sure it's kind of zoomed in a bit there and not too foggy. And I gotta kind of flip this around and then put this in place, which is not easy. So it's like kind of like this. And then I'm gonna tinker around with all of the pivots and stuff. So I look straight down here and make sure I've got this in the right place. Move anything there? Nope, still good. There we go, just like that. And I will loosely put screws on the top to hold it in place, like really loosely. And then I think these are the screws here. And just hold it very gently here. And those screws will go in, but not tight at all. Just barely, not tight, just barely touching. So, and that's to ensure the plate doesn't fall out when I start tweaking the thing, right? So I'll just put that in like that. Now I'm not tightening that at all. I go in a little bit, I feel a little bit of resistance, and I go back like that. So that's one. And I'm always hoping that when I finish all this stuff that there's nothing left over. I think the gentleman whose watch this is, who owns this watch, can appreciate that, because he does clockwork, can appreciate that. See, just don't tighten it, just bring it in and then loosen it. Just when you feel any resistance at all, like the slightest bit of resistance, then just back off your screwdriver. Back off, mister. This one here will rise up a little higher because these pivots aren't all in place, so I've got to nudge them in place, and then the whole plate will fall down, hopefully. This is the hardest part with a full plate. I don't like doing full plates. I think every watchmaker will tell you that they're a pain in the butt. So I'm just going to pick this up now, and I'll start nudging the gears until this thing hopefully drops into place. So we'll see if I can do that. I'll be back. And this is my nudging device. I just go in here. It's got a nice little turn on it and an angle, and I've used this one for years, and it just works well. Sometimes I'm lucky and everything just goes bam down, and sometimes it takes a while. So once you've nudged it all, it only took me 5 minutes, because you check all of the wheels, make sure they're flat and lined up, but there's always one of these that's a little higher. So in this case it was the fourth wheel here, and once I tap that, then everything kind of just falls down. And I'm going to tighten it up a bit more, but still not tightening it up a lot, because you've got the risk of the whole thing coming off. So I'm just going to use my stick here to hold things down here. Trying to keep my fingers off this as much as I can. But I remember for watch work I agree, but I don't know for pocket watch, because I remember watching these old videos from a long time ago, and these old watch repair guys, and they basically all had their fingers in there, and there was no issue at all. So what I want to do here is just put a little bit of pressure on the center wheel to make sure everything kind of just rattles around. And I can put pressure on the center wheel to make sure that the... Alright, so now I got to take out, I'm going to look, flip this around. I see pivots. I see dead people. I see pivots here, 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 here on the top. And then I see the center wheel pivot coming through here. And I see, let me just take this out here. And these still are not tight, they're just snug. And I'm looking in the bottom here and I see pivots. I see the pivot here for the fourth wheel. I see a pivot here. 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 So all the pivots are showing through, which should mean that there's, you know, everything's cool. I can just say it that way, right? So all the pivots are showing through, then there should be no issue here at all. So then now, when I put this back again, make sure that the lever set mechanism is on the, in between the jaws here, so you have no issue at all. And then tighten this up just a little bit. You don't need it that tight. It's a pocket watch, not a vice. And then I will reach in and grab that piece of Rodico that I had in here, that's holding this in place, and very carefully grab that and work it out. There it is there, and make sure I get all of it out. And I have. So everything looks pretty good there. Put that Rodico back in its home. So now, what I want to do here is put a little tiny bit of pressure on the center wheel and see if the pallet fork flips back and forth. Right, so yeah, I'm trying to remember which way to put the pressure on it. So it's either one way or the other way. So just put a tiny bit of pressure on there. And yeah, so you can see that clicking back and forth. So I'm gonna do a little close-up here and show you that, okay? Because that's a good way of testing it before you start putting the mainspring back in and all the rest of that nice stuff. So there's the... I'm gonna get my camera so it snugs in nicer. I think it's, the whole thing is gonna fall apart on me any minute now. I think, anyway. I'm trying to scare myself. So do this. Let's see. Do this. Move the patient over to the stretcher here, and then I'm gonna. There we go. Just like that, right? So you can see that. You can see the pallet fork in the middle there. So I'll put a little bit of pressure on this and try to do this on camera here. A little bit of pressure on the center wheel, and then I just touch the, and it snaps back and forth. That, my friends, is an excellent sign. That means that when I put the mainspring in, that pallet fork will work no problem. So now I'm going to go ahead and tighten down these screws. I think a long time ago I was doing this and I forgot to tighten the screws, and which is not a good thing. And the whole thing was riding around. I always go forward and then back and forward to make sure that there's no pivots sticking out, or because then you get a whole, then you got to repivot a gear and do all kinds of stuff. So you know, your very simple pocket watch repair job or fixing job didn't work. So now that's that part there. So now I just have to put the barrel back, the mainspring into the barrel again, and let me look at that again. So make sure that the barrel lid is absolutely flat here, which it seems to be. Yeah, and again, the old boys used to do what I'm going to do, and that's freaking put it in by hand. I'm going to try to do that, right? And just take it in. It's a T-spring on this side here, and it's a T-spring, and then I'm going to move that in. So what I do is I find, first I have to figure out which way it goes, this way or this way, and I'm hoping I've got a picture on my iPhone of that, because I usually take a photo of that. Ta-da! Photo. Now if you recall, the barrel was completely gunged up, and the spring goes this way, So the barrel was all gunged up, and it was pretty hard condition. So that's clean now. And this is an interesting little spring because it's a T-spring here on the end. So the T on the end fits into the hole here. And again, I mean, you guys can write me, but I've seen the old guys and they do this by hand. They don't use their mainspring winding tool. So I guess I could do that, but I've done this by hand before, and I find that it's a little easier. You just find the T, and away you go. So I gotta turn the light on back here. So I've made some other videos on YouTube on how to wind this in and stuff, so I'm not going to do it in public because basically I have to have it close to my chest when I'm doing it, and so I don't want the camera to be pointing at my chest. So there you go. There we go. The spring is in place. Not too shabby. Didn't do too bad a job. Not a great job, but not too bad a job. Now I want to put a little bit of oil on it. So I'll call it the blue oil, but I use the blue oil for that. And I get an oiling stick out that I love, and then I'll just dab a little bit of oil on the top of that spring. It disappears almost immediately when you do this, but just dab a little tiny bit of oil in there. You don't need a lot, you just need a little, so no one needs to go crazy with the oil. Just hang on a second. Get my other oiler out. I think I got more oil in this one than I have in the other one. So there we go. And like I said before, I'm going to try this out with this existing mainspring and see what kind of amplitude I get. And if I get crappy amplitude, I'm just going to try again and go get another mainspring. So there we go. That's enough for that. Enough of that. Jab, jab, jab. Gotta jab that oiler in there. And now I got to put the lid on. And when you put the lid on, you got to line this. There's two parts of the lid here. There's this little groove here, right? And that's where the T in the spring goes. And there's a groove here, and that's where your screwdriver goes to pick it up. So the first thing you need to do, though, is include and put the arbor back in. So, and it's pretty easy which direction to tell the arbor goes back in, because the arbor needs to catch, the square part of the arbor needs to catch the inside right in there, that hole in there, there's a square gear in there, and that's going to be caught by the square part of the arbor. Plus, you'll see there's a notch in here that catches that mainspring. So that notch catches that inside, and so that's the way that goes. And sometimes I have to take one of these things here, right, to put the spring in, because you can't. It's sometimes tricky to put the spring in, or sorry, the arbor. Why do I keep saying the spring? Drugs. Do not smoke drugs. I don't smoke drugs, by the way. Just kidding. It's and then again, to put this in here, you sometimes need to take a very small screwdriver, put the blade in there, and then rotate it a bit, and that lets the spring little notch on the arbor tuck in like that. And then I look on the other side to make sure I can see some arbor, which I can, like that. And then you put it down on your anvil or whatever you got, and I want to put a little bit of oil on it again. Look at that, me and my oil. Just crazy about oil. Just love oil. Just love oil. So I want to make sure that this is oiled here. And this is just so when this spins around, there's just less friction. I'm going to oil it on the side as well. I still have to oil the top of the jewels, by the way, in case you didn't notice. The top of the jewels need to be oiled. So that's that. And then there's tons of stuff to do. Tons of stuff. Now I line this up, and with the T here. I'm also going to look at this just closely to make sure there's none of the spring is rising up higher than it needs to. No, it's all good. So now I just line that little T up. So I'll push this in like this. Just notice my cuticles are all fuzzy right now. Must be from fishing bass. So just line that up like that, like this, and then push it down. And just make sure you continue to line that up. And now I have to pop this back on. So the best way to pop this on is usually with a pair of tweezers. I'm just going to do it by hand to see if I can use my superhuman strength first of all. And you can take your tweezers on the end, open them up like so. Make sure there's no gears or anything in the way. And then this will help you push down. And trying to make sure this is actually going to go down here. Seems like it's resisting arrest. Resisting arrest. It's not always as smooth as you want it to go, folks. It's the pocket watch world. Watches from 1800 had personality. So I'm looking at this right now, and I can't see the spring in the hole here, which is not good. Which means this should have been over here. So I gotta disassemble it again. And yes, that happens. Here I fixed my problem, but I had to re-oil the arbor here. So we'll move. And then I'll put this back on, and we should be good. I'm looking at the spring here, and it's a little bit high. So something you can do is punch it down a bit. But the T is there, so I'm going to see if I can push that down just a bit. So there we go. So I just put it on the block here, and just with a screwdriver, right on the edge where that T is, just push down right on there to make sure that the T on the other side was most of the way through the hole here. So, because you don't want it to be sticking up. Because when you put the when you put this back on here, the lid back on here, it should be able to pop right on top and not be sticking up. So there shouldn't be anything resisting it there. So I look at this, and that's not too bad there at all. So that's coming. That should pop right back on now. Without any big issues. Big issues, maybe some small issues, but nothing big. So I'm looking at it now. And then you look at the lid, like when you put that lid back on, just go through it again with a screwdriver very carefully, and just push it down again, make sure it's in there nicely. Because it needs to be flat to ride perfectly on inside the movement, right? So just do this and make sure everything is good. And I just noticed something on this here, and the tooth here looks like it's had some work done on it or something. I can see some screwdriver marks, scratch marks here, where this tooth is. So it shouldn't impact anything. I just don't want for this thing to circle around, get to that tooth, and there's an issue. So I'm going to just have a look at that tooth here. And I want to make sure that there's some oil in that tooth as well. Just make sure that that's smooth enough. I'm not sure why whoever worked on this watch in 1890 thought there was an issue with the tooth. Maybe there wasn't, and maybe it was just sitting in one place, in this place, super long, and then that caused the tooth to have tooth decay. Stop it. You're killing me. You are killing me. So that's the tooth here. I think it's good now. I'm just going to pop it with a bit of Rodico here. just to make sure there's no dust left over here. And just roll these teeth with Rodico just to make sure there's any dust gets out of the teeth, so they're not too bad. And yeah. Alright, so that's that. So now I can pretty much install this, I believe, back in the movement. What do you think? Sure, install it in movement, I heard a voice say. Get some of my screwdrivers out of the way because they're going to pick stuff up and they're going to have more fun. I still got some serious stuff to put back together. But after I do this, I want to make sure that the whole mechanism I was working on before still works perfectly, right? And yeah, it should have no issues. Yeah. Hopefully there are no issues. Looking at this flat, and you know, this thing here stands up just a bit, but it might not be in the way of the mainspring because that goes this way like this. So let me just pop this mainspring back into the movement. All right. Let me see, flat, straight, flat, whatever. So this would go in, you tuck it in like that, right? Make sure I know where the flat part is here. Flat, flat, sort of just a bit of an angle, which means it's like that. So, and this should just feed in. I'm going to have to step back a bit and take my glasses off or something. There we go. Now I'll check that on the other side to make sure that that's in. I don't think it's in yet, but I can hold it with these fingies here while I look it through the other side, and I might be able to rotate this to align it properly. But let me see, maybe a bench key would help. What do you think? I don't know if a bench key is going to help me here. Yeah, look at that. So the bench key is helping. There we go. So now it's in, like so. Put that back on the. Make sure this lever here is out of the way, and then put that back in, like that. You see that lever again? Yeah. Keep that lever away. Leave it to cleaver lever. Just keep mumbling about stuff there, mister. There. So that's there. Now I want to put the plate back on. Nice clean plate I have. Just reach over here. And I've oiled the top already, I believe, but who knows, all the touchy-feely stuff that's going on here. I may want to put some more oil on there. So I'm going to grab a bit of oil. Oh, grab a bit of oil. And use the red stuff. I've done videos on Mobius oils and the different type of oils that are available. So there you go. It's a nice chunk of oil in there. That's going to keep this in good condition for a long time. For a long, long time. And then this goes on top like this. Or does it? Yeah, it goes on top just like this. And then it should have two screws here. Screw number 1. Screw number 2. Like that. And then we'll just screw these in really quickly. I just want to make sure everything kind of turns here, so. I'll tighten those a little more later. My glasses up close here. Now the question is, if I wind this watch just a bit, will the pallet fork snap back and forth? That is the question is. What is the question is? And I think I need my bench key, the bigger bench key for this, because it's a size 18 giant pocket watch from 1,000 years ago. So this right now is in the this should be winding the pocket watch, but I don't feel no winding happening here. I don't feel the love. It's winding it, but I don't feel this is actually turning the arbor. Well, the arbor's turning. So I got a turning arbor, I got a winding thing. Did I put the spring in backwards? Let's check it out. Take it apart, have another look. So, done. So again, the mainspring barrel, the arbor in the mainspring was slipping because it wasn't hooking the spring properly, so I had to adjust it slightly. I use this tool here. So this tool here, as you can see in the end, when you squeeze this together, it'll shape that mainspring. I got some other tools like this, but I just squeezed it just a bit to shape it. But again, if this doesn't provide a lot of power, it is snapping back and forth, so that is good. So I can see the pallet fork snapping back and forth, but I'm not sure if that'll snap back and forth enough to allow this watch to run really well. So I may just throw the balance staff in just to see if everything's kosher. So that way I can tell whether I've got an issue or not. So let me just well, I can always flip the mainspring back out again, so that's not a problem. It is snapping back and forth, so I got good action on that. So that's not an issue either. So maybe just reassemble it, and then because I know that I know it works. I just don't know whether it'll be perfect yet. So, but if I reassemble it, then all is good. All should be good anyway. So make sure stay away from that fourth wheel. As you can see, this still works. Like this snaps up like this, and then it snaps back. So all things are nice and good. So what we have to do now is put back. We have to put back the minute wheel like this. This tucks in under here a bit, like that. And then I have to put back probably should put this in first and then throw the minute wheel in. I'm not sure. Not quite sure which order to put these in. So if I do this, no, because it might be hard to put that minute wheel in when it's like that. So hard to tell. Let me just see what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just push this down just a bit and see if it'll go down easy, so I don't have to put any extra force on it or anything. And I want to make sure that that there's a complete alignment of the gears here. The teeth have got to be perfectly aligned, because if you don't do that, there's a chance that those teeth will get stuck, and then you're screwed. So it's almost down right now, I think. And then that's it. So that's down. Now if I pull this out, is it going to get engaged? Yeah. Well, that's engaged, which should turn that. So let's do a little bit of oil here again. I'm going to get a little closer for you. It's going to be a long video, man. A long video. Hopefully you enjoy it. So I just want to make sure there's a bit of oil in there for the right in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here as well, and a little bit in here too. So when this is in the upward position, this should be able to set the watch. So let me check this out and see if it works. I'm gonna check the right bench key here. Bench key sounds like a Jewish name, Mr. Benchkey. So I do that, and is it all working? Yeah, it is. It's working nicely, actually. Yeah, there we go. And so, and then when you push that back in like that, it engages here, and we get the winding happening. So, and I've already wound this up. I don't want to wind it up anymore. And to my friend Miklos, if we have a mainspring problem here and it snaps or something, then I'll just replace the mainspring. Don't worry about it. So, free, gratis, as they say. No sweat. I love doing free work. It's what I do. So this goes on like this. This is the hour wheel. It just pops down like that. And you just make sure it's engaged with this gear here. And it is. That's good. That's the hour wheel down there. And then I actually want to put an hour wheel washer on here, so I'm going to see if I can find an hour wheel washer, because this never came with an hour wheel washer. I'll be back. So after a crap load of hunting, I found some dial washers right here. Schwarzkraft dial washers. I'm not sure if they're big enough for this particular watch, or whether they'll work or not, or what. So I need to open these up and have a boo at the dial washers. Oh yeah, look at that. Gold, Jerry, gold. This is friggin' perfect. Let's grab a dial washer, put it on the dial. Look at that, folks. We got ourselves dial washer heaven. Look at that. So these are really big dial washers, and I got tons of them. So I didn't know I had this. So got all different sizes of dial washers too. So never again will I be missing a dial washer. This is a thing of beauty. So I just got to put these away so I never lose them. I got these other little assortment of dial washers, but they're all small, so they're crappy dial washers. These are great dial washers. So I think I'll just put a rubber band around this and save it. And just take this out of the package maybe. Anyway, dial washers, tons of them. Don't forget to put that away. Alright, so now we've got the dial washer installed, and the next phase is to put the face back on. But before we do that, guts to oil the jewels. Don't forget to oil the jewels. You idiot. So the last thing I wanted to do is forget to oil the jewels. That would be nasty. Nasty, nasty, nasty. So I'm going to do some jewel oiling here and stop getting so excited about the dial washers. So let's just oil these jewels nicely and make sure we get plenty of. This one here is there we go. And I want to probably take a little Rodico on that one too, because these ones here I'm going to use a much finer oiling on this one here. So there you go, but not this one. Oil those jewels. This is the intermediate wheel, second hand, and then I need a finer oil here for the escapement, and I've said before in some of my other videos, when you there we go. I think that's good. I think anything else needs oiling here. You want to make sure that this guy just slips back and forth here without an issue. There we go. So that is that. So that's oiled up nicely. And now I think I'll put the face back on. And just put all my screwdrivers back here before I trip on them. I'm really excited about filing that dial washer. I looked all over the place and it was right in front of me. So sometimes there's a gift there for you, right? So there you go. You just put. I'm just sorting out all my screwdrivers here, okay? So play some music, talk to your wife, talk to your husband, whoever is watching. I think my YouTube channel's got 99.99% men watching. So why is that? So my wife said that this is this channel could make you fall asleep. So I'm gonna make sure this is lined up here like that, and I might have screwed these screws back in a bit because you don't want to lose them. So typically I screw these screws back into place a little bit so they don't become something that's going to just jump out on me. I'll just move that around here a bit and have a look. Oh, they're all there. No, it should be fine. Alright, so this then goes on top like that. Right, nice and easy. Everything is nice and easy with washwork. The old nice and easy. Make sure that the pivot is clearing the face without an issue. And I think I do have to loosen some of these. They look like they're a little bit in the way. Or is it just the way I'm putting this thing on? Oh, no, it is. It's the hand here. This has to be somewhat out of the way to put this on properly. So when you're putting this on the top, you've got to move that hand out of the way. So let me just line this up again here. It's perfectly aligned. Like that. And I'll just reach in with my screwdriver and move that hand out of the way so it doesn't interfere with everything. There we go. It's out of the way, and then this just sits down like that. There we go. That is a thing of beauty. So it's in there with the dial washer. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And now I just want to tighten these up here because they'll grab onto the dial feet. And again, you don't need to tighten these like crazy, okay? You just need to be just a bit snug so they're grabbing the dial feet and there's no major issue. So just tighten them up. That. There should be one more here. And that's it. So that's that. I'm looking at the dial here, and it's in pretty non-fingerprinty condition. Even though I like to lay that down now. Even though I like to clean that dial up just a bit and make sure there's no fingerprints on it. Rodico is man's best friend. It used to be duct tape, but I think it's Rodico. Stuff is very good. And again, as I've said a million times, stay away from the pipe for the seconds hand, because that'll cause you to be really pissed off if you touch that and you break it. I'm saying that because I think I did it years ago. I can't remember, but I think I did. Let's get every little piece of markings and fingerprints and anything else that might be part of this mystery. So there we go. So that's now put together. Now I have to put in the balance. So I'm going to bring the balance over and do a little bit of work on the balance. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take the I'm not sure whether I want to just dunker tank this thing or take it all apart. I think I want to, looking at the balance, I think the first thing I want to do is test the watch to make sure it's working, and then I'll take this balance apart and clean it. How does that sound? So, but if I throw it in and see if this thing will tick, that'd be pretty cool, don't you think? So I'm going to turn this around here and just see if I can get this thing ticking. So just very carefully put this in my Myers movement holder, because I've got the face there now, so I want to make sure that that doesn't cause an issue. Yeah, maybe I'll put it on my gel pad. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Get this out of here and get my gel pad out. Or just leave it sitting on this, but let me get my gel pad out. It's much more accommodating, and see what kind of amplitude I can get at this point in time. I'll be back in a second. There we go, this is my Bergeron gel pad. I should probably focus my camera up and then turn it on, but let's just get real here. Let's just get real, folks. So I'm going to very carefully put this balance in. So I got to make sure that it feeds in on the right side. So right now the pallet fork is on this side, so that means the balance would come this way, right? Would come in on an angle that way. So if I grab the balance very carefully, being the key term here, because this scares me. These balances, it just scares me. So I want to take it like from this side and then have it go down like there, like that, and then I just move this ever so carefully into place, like so, and see if I can get some ticking. Look at that, ladies and germs. Thing's ticking like crazy. I'll take a quick video of that in slow-mo, see what kind of amplitude I'm getting. So as you can see, it's not too bad actually. It's going about almost 365, which is or 360 degrees, which is pretty darn good for an old watch. So I'm going to do some balance work though and screw all that up. I'm just kidding. I think I'll just dunker the balance. So this is what I'm going to do, just so I can clean that hairspring and the balance on the bottom. Alright, this is the infamous JD dunker tank. Just want to say, so I'm going to see which way I raise this up. Let's just raise this dunker tank up. I think I threaded it in the same way, or yeah, I think I did. So bring that up like that, and I want to be very careful because the pivot's going to be touching the bottom of it. So I just want it to rest like that, nice and easy. And then I'll fill this up with lighter fluid, and that will effectively clean this balance. There we go. And now I can agitate it a bit. So call it names, do what you want to do, but just agitate it just a bit. I know that the lighter fluid will not affect the shellac, which is nice, but I still have to clean the upper jewel on this, so just want to do this first though. There we go. So we'll leave it like that, and then I'm going to take it out of the dunker tank. So lower the dunker tank. Which way does this go? Just like this. So I'm trying to remember how I designed this. So is that lower? Yeah, that's lower. So we're lowering the dunker tank and exposing the balance like that. So that's that. And then I want to take this out and put it on another balance tack while I clean it up. Let's see, do I have another balance tack on here? Can't remember. I think I have my old conventional balance tack that I've had forever. Well, I do have this one here. So I do have this balance tack, which is really interesting here. So and this one here also, it's kind of like a dunker tank one as well. So it's I don't know if I can use this one. This is made more for watches and not for pocket watches. The old pocket watches are very particular. Very particular. I'm looking for my old... Oh, where are you? Where are you? My old balance tack. I can't find it. I'll just put it on another one. So I have another balance tack here from another job I'm doing. So I just want to put it on there and let it dry out. So just take it off here. Nice and easy again. And then put it down here. And I'm just going to let this dry for a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to get rid of this lighter fluid by throwing it on my parking lot. In the parking lot, I'm just kidding. I'm going to throw it on the weeds. I'm going to transfer the balance back to the dunker tank, just so I have everything's in the same place. I can put this one back to where it belongs. And then I've got to, so it's just sitting there. But I want to rest this on this pad here so there's no stress on the watch. But first I think I'll just see if I can lightly blow it. Actually, I think it's probably better if I put it on this pad. That way the pivot drops through the middle and there's no problem. And now when I blow it, it's not going to go anywhere or distort anything. So, and this will just help it dry a bit faster. Because this lighter fluid just dries super fast anyway. So I just want to help it along because it's pooling a bit, and I can see it right now, and I know exactly where the lighter fluid is. So Now what I'm going to do is just leave it here and go have lunch. And then by the time I come back, this will be ready to rock and roll. I'm telling you. Okay, let's just leave it here. And the spring is not under any tension because of this little device I've invented. And it's probably more healthy for the watch for being like this. Alright, now go have lunch. That's it. Oh, a bad angle on that. I didn't realize I should have looked at my camera. There it is there. So just drying it off like this. And making sure that everything is good. Oh, there we go. That. And go to lunch. And I just unscrewed the cap jewel here for this. And what I'm trying to do is I'm a little concerned about taking this off only because of the way the hairspring is seated here, so I've got it nice and clean right now. So if I can remove this cap jewel and have a look, all things will be good. So I'm just going to dig in here just a bit, see if this puppy dog will come out. And it does. Perfect. I'm going to have a look at the cap and make sure there's nothing in there that's off. So there I've taken out the jewel and the cap jewel. So it's completely naked. There we go there. There's the cap. There's the jewel. I'm going to get in really close and then just scrub those up nicely, just to make sure we got everything done. This jewel is actually really good condition. I see nothing wrong with it. And the cap actually, it's got a little bit of it's got just a little bit of wear in the end, but that's all. That's it. So, to deal with that, not wear, I think it's just dried up oil. So to deal with that, I'm just going to shave off the end of this this pith wood, or this not pith wood. Just do that like that. And I'm just going to ream out the hole a bit, just a bit. Got to do that from the other side. I got to watch I don't affect this jewel too much. There we go. And then I like to take a little bit of Rodico, and just in case there's any leftover material on there. And just clean that out. There we go. Now, I'm going to add a little tiny bit of oil to that, but after I put this back in place, very carefully. It's pretty loose in there. Normally the jewels are in there super tight. This one here seemed to be just sitting there. So. There we go. Now a little bit of oil, Little bit of oil, eh? And just put a little bit of oil on the cap, which is what I want to do here. A spot of oil on the cap, boy, oh boy. And now, if I screw this up, I gotta do it all over again. So, see if I still have some skills here. Well, the jewel is the wrong way, so I'm gotta turn this whole thing around. I know that I know it was on this side. And now I got to do a bit of nudging without turn this around a bit and then re-nudge. It's a lot easier if you just take the setting out, by the way. Just take the hairspring out and then do it that way. The way I'm doing it right now is a bit tougher, but I was worried a little bit about the hairspring, so there we go. That is nicely in place, ladies and germs. Ladies and germs. And I made sure that the screws were kind of one up and one down, so the screws go back in the same place. Now the balance is just resting on it's resting on the balance tack. I'm also holding it with my hand so it doesn't run away on me. I also don't want my screwdriver to slip and go through the hairspring, so you really got to take care of this when you're doing this. One slip can ruin your day. Let's see, I need my black screwdriver, I think. There we go. Done. Oh, so that's good. Now I need to try it out. See what happens. I'm going to put this other balance tack back because it's for Ian's watch, and I'm going to replace the mainspring on that one. So here we go. There it is. Let's see if I can get a tickety tick tick on this. So it's on the it's on this side. So now we're gonna put it in. Nice and easy. It's all cleaned up, ready to go. So turn it this way and then you place it down. Just steady it with my finger here. Place it down like this, it'll find the jewel hole hopefully, and then rotate the whole thing. And then I can place the whole thing down nice and carefully. And then see if I can get any action. No. The pallet fork went and decided to go on the other side, so I just got to pull it up again. Outside the pallet fork, it went to the other side. So go this side here, go down, nice and easy, and then turn it like this. I guess the only thing about these vintage watches is that they were a bit easier with respect to they're a bit easier when it came to putting the balance back in place, and watches where you got to tuck it in at an angle and stuff. So that's good. And now we've got the balance screw here. So what I normally do with the balance cock screw is I hold this down just a little tiny bit while I put this in and screw it in. So, and it's on this pad right now, which is providing like a lot of support. And I don't want to put too much pressure on the pivot. And I've got it on this little gelled version of cushion just so it doesn't damage the face at all. Right, that's in there now. Just make sure the tack is in well. Yep, it's good. Ticking away. Look at it sideways. Ticking, and then upside down, and ticking away. So we're good, man. We are good. Good as gold, as they say. So now it's just a matter of assembling the put the ring on. This is a safety ring here. Have to basically reorganize myself here. So I just want to get this ring on like this. And that just slips on. That's a dust ring. It's just to prevent dust from getting in, just like the name. And I want to make sure that this thing, the dust ring, is in there nice and tight. It sort of popped out on one side and popped in on the other. So put it in like that, and then I can just nudge it over, I think. There we go. So now the dust ring is in. Make sure it's down all the way. That's good there. Like that. Now I do need to get the case at some point in time. So we just rest this for a second. I don't want pressure on the center wheel, so I'm just going to rest it right here. Nice and easy. Because I still have to put the hands back on, but I don't know. I think I want it cased before I put the hands on. So make sure my setting mechanism is over on the side here again, like I said last time. So I just put it down nice and easy here. All right, there we go. And now I'm going to go get the case. Or a little refocusing. There it is, running nicely. I think it's running pretty strong right now, and it'll run a little stronger as it works itself in. So I'm going to go get the case. One thing I almost forgot to do is oil the upper jewels. I think I oiled the. Well, I know I oiled the jewels on the inside, but I need to oil the upper jewels here and be a good boy. So, there you go. See, even I forget shit. So I'm going to just touch this lightly. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. It's running really well, actually. So I got to case this thing now. Case this thing. Not sure whether to put the hands on first or case it, because if I flip this around, I don't want any pressure on the balance. If I put it in the case, then it's pretty much secure, and I can push the hands on without worrying about it being rattled at all, right? So because I know if I flip this around then and then just be very careful here. Flip this around and put it like this on the movement holder, and then try to put the hands on. It's probably going to be a disaster. So I'm gonna case it right now, and then I'll try to put the hands on while it's cased. So I think is a smarter thing to do for this watch. Yeah. So everything is in perfect order. See if I've just trying to keep this thing focused. I'm gonna let my friend there who owns this watch, I'm gonna let him clean the case if he wants to, but it's in pretty good condition, I'd say. I don't want to really mess with it because it's nice right now. So the dust cover's on this side, which means the watch has to go in this way. So the watch would go in like this, like that, and then the screws, the case screws, would be put on this side. So there'd be one case screw there, here, and then another case screw on the other side. I'm gonna have to turn all this off to only because I can't see things properly right now. It's too much camera. I'm trying to get this in camera at the same time trying to get these case screws in, and this could be a disaster, so I don't want to fork it up. Just put them semi in. So I got to put the actual crown in too, and then tighten that crown screw they have, which is kind of a unique kind of situation. I'm going to turn this over here because I think it needs to settle into its place here, and it's just slightly over, so it needs to go over. Needs to be over here for a little bit, just a bit. Right in there. And then the crown, which would probably hold it in place better, would be in there. Like that, and then there's a crown screw that holds it all in place. So if I pull this out right now, set it, and then wind it. Yeah, it's good stuff. I just have to get this screw in. I'll clean up the face again after, I guess, because I'll leave little fingerprints there, and I don't want to do that. Be a long video, folks. I'll keep everything away. And again, as I've said a million times, it's really hard to do this watchmaking stuff when you're on video. It's a little tougher because you're being looked at, and the camera's in the way, and all kinds of other crap. So, but there you go. I'm theoretically helping people, and then this gentleman here who owns this watch, he watched one of the videos twice. So what I don't want is a screwdriver slip, and then he sees me and goes, "What the hell? The screwdriver slipped." That kind of crap does happen, though. All right, there we go. So that's there, running very nicely, actually. And I'm just going to very carefully with my fingernail, because it leaves no fingerprints, put this case down and close the back a bit, and there we go. So that's that. And now what I want to do is tighten this little screw in the back, and that keeps the crown in place. It's the infamous crown in place screw. It's the first time I've seen one of these too in a watch, which is kind of odd. But there we go. Once it finds the slot, all is good. It doesn't have to be that tight. All it's doing is preventing the crown from just coming out, right? So it's just in there but not super tight. And so now that I got the watch running, I just have to press the hands in now. So I use my hand presses to do that, these guys here. So I'll be right back. Alright, putting the hands in can be a little bit tricky here, so I'm just going to be a good boy here and just aligning this one, the hour hand, just before 24. When I got the watch, they were off quite a bit, but I'm just going to press it in like this, and then I check the angle after. Make sure it's flat, and I don't want it to be up too high or down too high. And then check the other side to make sure that it's not at an angle, which is what you want to do. I'm going to check this one here too, and then press this one on nice and easy. I'm going to press it down a bit more here. It's in there, but not that deep enough. That's not bad there. It's pretty darn good, actually. A little tiny bit of an angle, so you got to take that into consideration and then re-tip it so it doesn't. So it's not too much of an angle, and it clears the hour hand. So when I pull this out, like so, and then whip it around, it's going to clear the hour hand. So if I do that, there we go. It's not too bad. It's close enough for government work. That's what they say, right? Yeah, there we go. It's not too bad. And then, you know, this is an old watch, man. You can even see it's not super smooth in the gearing because it's 1880. So, but it's clearing the hour hand is what I wanted it to do. So that's good, and it's pretty much on the top. It's 12 o'clock, it's pretty much 12 o'clock, so that's good. And then the second hand, I usually, this thing's stuck to my tweezer, which is kind of weird, but what I usually do with this one here is just sort of put it on the edge and then push it in. And I usually do it with a screwdriver. Well, that didn't work. Try that again. Thing is sticking to my tweezers, so I was not sure if it's my tweezers or the hand. Come on, get in there. Quite a long pipe on this thing. There we go. Now what you do is you take the you pull this out again, right? And then you make sure that when it comes around, you got plenty of clearance for the hour hand coming around. It doesn't touch the second hand as it comes through. Tons of room, folks, tons of room. So that's good. It's not touching anything. Just look at it sideways and you can see that there's tons of clearance, even if I show you there. So it's all good. So we'll just close the lids on this and let her run for a while. What time is it? It's 2:45 right now. And I'll just set it to 2:45. And then let it run for a while, and then if I need to do some timing on it, we'll do that later. Just let this run for a while and we're good. So I could quickly check the bead error and stuff. And just part of cleaning this up a little bit near the end here is that I should be, I turned the lights off here a bit, so I should just wipe the bottom with Rodico where I had my little finger. So I'm looking at it right now and I can see that right on the edge here is my little fingerprint. And that Rodico will take that fingerprint right off. And then there should be another fingerprint on the other side, and there is. Look at that. And so that just takes that fingerprint right off, and I think Miklos can probably do this himself if he needs to. But I think he's a pretty competent watch enthusiast, so shouldn't be any issue there at all. Following the second hand around here because I see a little smudge mark. I'm going to get rid of it. There, get rid of it. Rid of it. I tell you. I've cleaned the face on this. I'm hoping that the hands clear the face without a problem. They should. There shouldn't be any issue there because I've put them on nicely. So. And you just drop this on like that. Make sure it's clearing everything because you gotta have the lever out, right, or it's not going to work properly. We just pull this lever out of it, like so, and then drop this down, like so, like that. Make sure this is all kind of kosher. Everything's good. Just want to make sure that lever is clear before I put pressure on this, right? Otherwise there'd be issues. Could be issues. So you just want to snap this case, the case top back down on it. There we go. That's not too bad. Let's rotate that a bit. I think it's kind of all aligned here, so I should be able to just put some pressure on it and it should close. There we go. That closed nicely, and the lever's still there and workable. And now I just need to take a cloth here and just clean the smudges, my fingerprints on the crystal here. Like that. There's a little gouge on the crystal there, but I mean, come on, 1888. There's going to be a gouge. There we go. And then just want to lean it like this and do a little bit of the inside here. But like I said, the owner can be polishing the crap out of this. And there we go. I would say this is done. I'm gonna regulate it later, but it's running nicely, so there shouldn't be too many issues. So there you go. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. So I'm getting some pretty good numbers with the rate. The amplitude is as strong as I can get it with that spring, unless I replace that spring. So it's got about a 360-degree swing on it, which is nice. And the bead error is excellent. And I had to loosen to adjust the hairspring leveling to get it this way. So, but pretty impressive rate. And the balance is working nicely, so no big deal. If the gentleman who owns it wants the hairspring or the mainspring replaced at some point in time, we can do that. But this is pretty darn good. And so thanks a lot for watching my video. This is an 1888 pocket watch that we got running again. Like I said, the amplitude I could get higher, but I'm not sure whether it's worthwhile. So the amplitude's decent, I think. The bead error is excellent, and the timing is excellent on it, and the timing lever is almost set in the center, which is perfect. I had to lower the hairspring just a tad where it was colleted, and that seemed to do the trick. So there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.